Hey guys, welcome back to Indecisive TCG. This is Koa here. Today I'm going to be going over my deck list that I just won with this past weekend. It was a 28 player tournament, so 5 rounds. And I played Dofi, ended up going undefeated. There was a good variety of decks that I went against, so I'm going to kind of talk about the different matchups and go over the list. So first, let's talk about the list. We've got, of course, I feel like it's pretty standard. There are a couple different tech choices in here that I personally prefer. But we've got the standard 4 Weevil. They're really good. On play, draw a card. Perona lets you look at the top 5, rearrange in any order. Pudding. This is really good for some of those matchups that like to have a really big hand size, like Bonnie, the yellow matchup, the black-yellow matchup. It's really, really good. Shuffle all their cards back into their deck, then they draw 5 cards. We've got the 2K Croc, which is on play, rest a Dawn, return up to 1 2-cost or lower character to the owner's hand. We've got, of course, the one and only Jimmy B, probably the best card in the deck. Play up to 1 cost 4 lower 7 Warlords. Other than Jinbei from my hand, I've got Sengoku. Some lists run like 2 of these, some sort of variation of like the Sengoku, Perona, and the Buggy combo. I run 4 of each because I want to make sure that I'm consistent as possible. I also run the 3 Teaches. A lot of people run them at 4, which is really good, but 3 also feels really good as well. Plus I needed a room for a couple other cards. But Sengoku, look at top 5, take a 7 Warlords. You've got Jozu. Most lists run this anywhere from 2 to 4 copies. I prefer it at 2 because I wanted to make room for some 2 extra cards, so I cut him down to 3, cut him down to 2 to fit in 2 Red Rocks. Honestly, one of the best cards in the deck, to be honest, in my opinion. But Jozu's really good. First, it's a 6/7 body, so it's a good kind of mid-game play. You may return one of your characters other than this card to your hand. Return up to 1 cost 6 or lower character to the original owner's hand. Fantastic card, really good against Black Yellow Luffy. You can pop all those 5 costs back to their hand. Don't let them develop a board. It's even good for yourself if your opponent doesn't really have a field. Then you can just bounce like your Perona or like a Buggy or like a Sengoku back to your hand to give you some extra counter or just be able to play them again. So really, really good card. It's only at 2 copies though. I feel like I don't need him all the time, but he is useful to see. I cut this down to 2 Moria to make, again, some more room for some extra cards, but he's pretty decent. Add up to 1 7 Warlords of the Sea or Through the Bar Pirates type character with a cost of 4 or less other than Gecko Moria from your trash to your hand. It's really good to like Moria and pick up a Jinbei that got KO'd or like a Boa and bring it back. But having him at 2 also doesn't feel that bad because you see him. I mean, at least I see him a lot. But I think I'd rather have the extra 2Ks for that. I've got the 4 Mihawk, again, really good card if you can set him up and just start to cycle. Adds a little bit extra layer of planning when you're playing down your Perona. If you know you're going to try and get this off, you kind of have to set up appropriately when you set your deck up. But really good card. It's a 2K and his full art and winter cards look sick, so why not include them? Law, another fantastic card. This is really good. Against the mirror, you can bounce those bodies back to your hand. It's good against most decks. I would say it's good against Blackbeard if you can get them off. If they don't use their on play, you can bounce stuff back to their hand so you don't got to worry about it. But at the same time, you're more likely not going to be able to get a single on play off when you play Blackbeard. But against every other matchup, and including the mirror, it's a fantastic card. Of course, another Buggy, very, very, very playable 2K. Some only run him at 2. I've seen a lot of lists coming out now where they are running 2 Buggies and like 2 Kayas. I always like the Buggy just because it's searchable, it's consistent, and lets me set up. So I have so many good options turn 1 if I get to go first. So great, great, great. Another really good card, Boa Hancock. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, place them in any order. then give up to one of your 7 warlords with a C-type leader or character, up to 1 rested Don. This is really good to set up and still be able to do your leader ability. Like if you're at 6 Don, you can play this, give a Don, and then still be able to do leader ability, which is fantastic. There was a play where I was at 6 Don, I Jinbei'd into a Boa and brought out I believe a Weevil, so I was able to get 3 bodies on the board for 6 Don, which is pretty great. Then, like I said, the Teach, activate main once per turn, place up to 1 card from your hand to the top of your deck, attach 2 rested Don to one of your leader or characters. Really good against the Blackbeard matchup. I played against one of the Blackbeards at the tournament, and it was really, really close, but I think what helped me out was this guy right here. He prioritized removal. So, for example, he at one point ended up with 2 Van Augers and 2 Donquixotes on the board, which was letting him be able to KO basically anything that I play. And thank God for Gravity Blade, because that kind of won me the game too. But being able to consistently get out of body and not have to really worry about, you know, blindly doing your leader ability is fantastic. Plus, it's an activate main, so it does get past that Blackbeard ability. Which is funny, teach on teach violence, but you know what, sometimes it's got to happen. It's also good to play out early as well, just because it's actually a nice little body that you can trade into all the little small searchers like the Lafayette or the Bonnies or the Baby Fives or the Momos, something that's going to give them continuous value. We want to make sure we get out of that right away. And it was even kind of crazy too, because at one point I ended up just giving him Dawn for an extra swing. And the Blackbeard really had no choice but to swing into it or just let it keep getting its value. And he did. He swung into it with a small body. I countered out for a Dawn. He didn't want to swing anymore, and he just, or not for a Dawn, for 1k counter, and he just stayed alive and probably low-key won me that game. Now, the event ratio is a little bit different. Most decks, I feel like, are running 2 Gravity Blade, 2 Perfume Femur. I used to do 2 and 2, exactly like that, but these red rocks are so good right now. They're fantastic into the Blackbeard matchup. They're fantastic into the Shanks matchup. They're really good into the red-purple matchup. Any matchup that relies on their big bodies to put in work, this thing is just an absolute menace. So against Blackbeard, he was pitching all of his blockers because I guess he wanted to prioritize board and counter, which was fine by me, and the only one he played I had a red rock for. So he spent all of his Dawn 1 turn playing that out, and then I immediately was just like, no, here you go. Red rock, swing big. And he wasn't able to do anything from there. So I really like the red rocks. I much prefer them over an extra copy of Jozu or like an extra copy of Teach. These 2 red rocks are probably the MVP. And with how much setup that you do with these kind of cards right here, you kind of always see it. I don't think I've ever had a time where I'm like, man, I can't find that red rock. It's normally pretty good, so it helps out a lot. Gravity Blade, again, really good. This helps out into the mirror. It helps out into every single matchup. The triggers are fantastic. Red Rock will bottom deck a 4, and Red Rock will bottom deck a 5 off trigger. So super good triggers. This happened to me in the... I was able to trigger this out several times this weekend. One of them was against one of the red-purple Luffys. I was able to bottom deck one of his blockers. And then after that, it was just kind of game from there. And then Perfume Femur is another one. A lot of people running it at 2, which is really good. I feel like I only need it once. I'm just really aggressive with this leader. I think that's the best way to play him. And if you see this in your opening hand, you kind of just step on the gas, get them down to 0, or try and get them to counter out as much as you can so they just have no resources. And then from there, it's relatively easy. So Perfume Femur and Red Rock are probably the 3, some of the best cards in the deck. Definitely underrated. I'm probably going to include some gameplay in this, but my matchups for the tournament real quick before I switch over to gameplay. Round one, I played a Robin, which was really good. They didn't do leader ability too many times. I don't know if they forgot or what their game plan was, but they forgot to do it. Ended up on 8 Dawn instead of 9, and I was already too far ahead. And they weren't really too lucky with their triggers either. Round 2 was against Black Purple Luffy. He did an okay job trying to control my board, but he didn't have the counter. He bricked at the end, and I was able to get that win. Then round 3 was against Blackbeard. That was probably the toughest matchup of the tournament. I know Dofi has a pretty good matchup into Blackbeard, but he was a pretty good player. Again, like I said, at one point he had 2 Van Augers, 2 Qs, so he was just prioritizing the board control, which is I think what you kind of have to do to outpace Dofi. But unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to establish a Burgess. He wasn't able to really get to use his blocker. So he had 2 Augur, 2 Q. On my 7 Dawn turn, I was like, okay, we're going in. We're gonna do Gravity Blade. So I got rid of both of the Van Augers, and then after that, it was just kind of a wraps for him. He didn't have enough control. Once I beat the Blackbeard in round 3, round 4 was Bello Betty. This one was a little bit scary because Bello Betty is very much a glass cannon, and if you're not careful, she will overwhelm you. Again, I hit the trigger off Red Rock in my life. I bottom decked his Karasu. And then after that, he wasn't able to kind of keep up. I was able to bounce stuff with the Law because they play a lot of small bodies. And then he took his own life going to 0 by using the Koala blocker, which I think was a mistake. Because you're kind of betting it all on that blocker, right? So I had the Perfume Femur in hand, and that's how I ended up winning. I think I had a Jozu and my leader on board at one point at the end of the game, and so I just swung 7. And then 15k unblockable with Perfume Femur got me the game. He just didn't have enough gas. Then after that, round 5, I played Red Purple Luffy, and that one was okay. I won the dice roll finally. Didn't win a single dice roll until the last round. I ended up going first, and then I just all gassed from there. Swing, 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 swing. He tried to keep up with some blockers, but he wasn't able to put too much pressure on me. At one point, and I feel like this might have lost him the game, he had a Shanks on the board as well as a Kid, which means he was going to be a 7k leader, and everything I had was minus a Dawn, but I did have almost a full board at that point. And so what he ended up doing was just swinging 12, 8, then he Nika'd. So Gear 5 Luffy took another turn. But I think if he would have just kept that 7k leader, being able to be a 7k and then everything -1, I think he honestly would have won. But I don't know, he played Nika, got rid of his 2 bodies, and so after that it was a breeze. He tried to search, I think, for his events or just some counter with some Namis, but he didn't find it, so I was able to take the W. So again, 28 player tournament, 5 rounds. I got 12 packs, 6 packs of 4, 6 packs of 9. Ended up pulling a Dofi, Grape Dofi leader, and a Alt Shanks. So pretty good W. I'm glad, first win of the 09 season. And hopefully we're going to get more deck profiles out to you more. But let me know if you guys are looking for anything or have any questions on any of the matchups or how you want to play Dofi. But yeah, try out Red Rock. It's going to be your best friend. When you're at 9 Dawn, you Red Rock leader ability, and sometimes if you're able to hit that Jinbei or set up the Jinbei, they just can't come back from that. So yeah, really good games. And yeah, let me know down in the comments if you want to see any more type of content or any more in-depth explanations, but we're going to move on to the gameplay. See y'all next time.